Hello Year 6 and welcome to your Monday literacy video. Now literacy is going to be a little bit different to when our bubble closed this time, and you've got a little bit of an extra thing to do. So you will have noticed, hopefully you've all had your packs delivered, and you will have noticed that you've got a different reading book. You should have the next reading book, and you should also have a word power book. Okay, I'll be going over the word power a bit later on. I'm going to go over the reading first and then I'll come on to that afterwards. So you will have all received your next reading book, but we're going to carry on with the one that we had before Christmas for a few lessons. So you all need to go and find, most of you, if you've got this one, the one with the dragon on the front. Okay, now this one, we're going to use this one for a few lessons and then we'll move on to the next one afterwards. So if you've got one with a dragon, make sure you go and find it, because that's the one that we're going to be using for a few days. So the next text that we're going to do in the dragon book is on page 20, and it's called The Girl Who Walked on Air. If you haven't got this book, or if you haven't got that text, don't worry, I'll be going over yours afterwards. Okay, so The Girl Who Walked on Air. So I'll read a little bit of an introduction and then I'll go through some of the questions so you should know exactly what you're doing. So The Girl Who Walked on Air is written by Emma Carroll, an author and English teacher. It is about a girl called Louie who works in the ticket office of a circus but dreams about performing in the circus herself. In this extract, she can't wait to see an evening performance. Okay, so you have a read through that text. And then at the bottom, you'll see that there's a glossary. So we went over this a couple of times before. And remember, a glossary is where it gives you the meaning of maybe something that you might not be familiar with. So lapsang tea is a type of black tea with a smoky flavour. Okay, so that might help you with your understanding. Right, let's have a look at some of the questions then. So the first one is, why do you think the crowds are bigger when there is more danger? Okay, so have a think. So it says, the first line says, the bigger the danger, the bigger the crowd. Why do you think that is? So it's probably not going to tell you the answer in the question because it says, why do you think? Okay, it's only a 1 mark question, so you only need to give 1 point. But have a think. Why do you think? If it's more dangerous, why are there more people going to watch? Have a think about that. Number 2 then says, Jasper lets Louie have first dibs on every pie crust. And then it says line 13, so it's telling us where it is. What does this suggest about Jasper's personality? And explain your answer. So I'm going to go to line 13. So here, so it says, so it says, Mercury was good old Jasper, who I lived with in a tiny trailer and who drank lapsang tea out of dainty cups and let me have first dibs on every pie crust. So if you're not really sure what that means, so if you have first dibs, it means that you get it first. You get to choose which bits you want first, which was more than could be said for my mum. When I was a baby, she just left me at the circus the way most people forget an umbrella. So if he lets him have the first dibs on every pie crust, what kind of person do you think he is? Do you think he's mean? Do you think he's kind? Do you think he's generous? Have a think of what kind of person you think he is, but it is a 2 mark question. So you need to tell me what kind of person you think he is and why. Okay, so as long as you explain it, then you'd get both marks. If you just say he is kind, then you'd only get 1 mark. You've got to have because and then explain why. How do you think Louie feels about her mother? Okay, so you could use that bit that just said there, which was more than could be said for my mum. When I was just a baby, she left me at the circus the way most people forget an umbrella. So do you think she likes her mum? Do you think she doesn't? But then remember, think why. So that again, number 3 is a 2 mark question. So you've got to use maybe a little bit of evidence from the text. So you could say, I think she doesn't like her mum because in the text it says, and then you could copy a little bit from the text to show why you think that. Okay. I think the rest of them you should be fine. Just make sure you definitely go to the right line. So on number 5, the extract says that although Leo Chipchase didn't smile very often, he was smiling. Why do you think this is? But it tells you where it is. So go to line 26 and have a think about why he's smiling. Last one then, after reading the title of the book and this extract, explain what you think might happen in the rest of the book. So you've got to make a bit of a prediction about what might happen next. And again, that's a 2-mark question. So give us a couple of points of what you think might happen and why. Okay? So if you haven't got that one, your book might be orange inside and it might have an octopus on the front. Okay? Now your next one, the one that you're going to do today, is on page 11. Okay? Now page 11 is called A Pirate Adventure. And you've got a picture at the top of lots of different pirates, and then it says, find these things in the picture and draw around the ones you can find. So you've got to use your reading skills. So the first one, where are we? The first one you need to read says, flag. Flag. So sound it out. Okay, so then you need to have a look, use your understanding of what that means, see if there's a flag in the picture, and if there is, circle it. Okay, and then you could always colour in the picture after if you wanted to. Okay, so once you've done your reading then, you then need to go to your word power book if you've got one. If you haven't got one, don't worry, you can switch the video off now and just do your reading. But if you have got one of these, it's because I want to give you an extra challenge. And this is more literacy work, but it's slightly different. So, we're just starting at the front then, page 2, which is where did English come from? Okay, so this is all about the understanding of words and where they came from. So it says, English has borrowed lots of words from different languages, but how did that happen and when? So a long time ago, the Romans came from Italy and invaded Britain. They brought their language, Latin, to Britain with them. Some Latin words are still used today. They have been used to make English words. So for example, magn means large and great. So that's where magnified, magnificent and magnitude, that's where they all come from, and that's why they're all to do with something big. Okay? So you'll probably know what these English words mean, but can you guess what the Latin part of the word means? So you've got aquatics and aquarium. So what do you think aqua might mean? So think about what aquatics is. Think about what an aquarium is. You've probably all been to an aquarium, or at least know what one is. And then think about what they've got in common. So what do you think aqua means? Okay. For the second part then, down the bottom, it says, can you match the modern English words from the scroll to the Saxon words below? Okay, so it gives you the Saxon word, and then you've got to find the modern word, which you think it means, in the scroll. And basically, you've just got to have an educated guess. So the first one you've got to do is skeep. I mean, that sounds a little bit like sheep. So that one's going to be sheep. Okay? Carrying on then on page 3, so you're doing pages 2 and 3 in your word power books. It says, can you match the Saxon verbs to the modern English version? So you're carrying on with what you've just been doing, just slightly different. Think about what you notice about the end of them, what they all got in common. And then what do you think these Saxon verbs mean? You might not know, you've just got to have a guess. Okay, have a go. It says, unlike the Romans, the Saxons didn't leave. Then another group of people called the Vikings arrived and brought their language to Britain too. Here is a Viking. Can you work out what the Viking words around him mean? So have a think, do they look or sound like modern English words? So read them out loud, have a think what they sound like. And what do you notice about the alphabet in this language? So that's just something to have a think about. What's different about their alphabet to ours? Then the bottom bit, why might this mixing of languages make it tricky to spell some English words? So have a think, why Why might some English words be quite tricky to spell if we've mixed two languages together? And the bottom bit is you need to write something about what you've learned today about the English language. Okay? So if you're having trouble with any of that work for today, please email me on year_6@sandonprimary.org.uk and I will be happy to help. And remember, it is the expectation that you send a picture of your work every day. So we'll be looking out on our emails for a picture of your literacy work. So make sure you send it in. Okay?